Friends, they're such a big part of our life. But what does it mean to be a good friend? And what happens when we outgrow a relationship? Welcome back. I'm Gila Ross, host of the Power Up podcast, where we share short, relatable ideas that impact and upgrade our everyday lives. And in this episode, together with the Wednesday evening discussion group, we look at this fundamental topic of friendship. Or 50. And then there are situational, right? For example, you can have a peer that in certain areas in life, they are your mentor, right? If, for example, they have more experience than you in a particular area. And I'll share with you an example. I have a friend whose daughter just got married. And even though she's a very similar age to me, which I can't think of something like that, but like if my kids were to get married, whatever, please God, in the right time. But like I'm saying, like right now, that thought just freaks me out because I'm way too young to even think about things like that. Then that's someone that I could talk to and sort of ask, advice for how to navigate that sort of situation. And similarly, there are situational times in our life where we can teach and give to our peers. Does that make sense so far? Yeah. Questions? Any questions so far? Okay, so what we're going to do is jump right into is that we spoke last week about the relationship between a mentor and a teacher, and how us and our mentors and our teachers, and how to sort of maximize those sort of relationships. Now we are going to talk about friends and peers, and we're going to start with a very easy, simple question, because I know it's heading towards, time. So which is about like 9 a.m. in the morning for a lot of us, but forget about that. But what is a friend? I'm going to rephrase that question. What is a good friend?
Someone that's there for you through ups and downs.
Last week, we spoke a little bit about the idea that it's not good to travel through life alone. Right? We all need a support system. We all need different types. God made us as social beings, and we all need different types of people, different types of relationships in our lives in order to keep us grounded and to keep us centered and to keep us growing. So last week we discussed that concept a little bit. We started with the idea that there are three different types of relationships. There are those that are above us, like for example, a teacher, a guide, a parent. Then there are those that are sort of parallel to us, for example, our peers. And there are those that are below us, and these could be students, and these could be kids as well, or people that we give to, we teach. And we also, what we discussed is that sometimes these relationships are constant, right? We have people in our life that are constantly our teachers or our mentors or our role models, right? If you think about someone, hopefully we all have someone in our life that is, our role model and we look up to, or many people that we look up to and we can reach out to whenever we need advice. And sometimes it's not even when we need advice, but sometimes it's just to inspire us. We look at them and we're like, I want to be like you when I grow up, kind of thing, even though we're like hitting 40 fast, but not that I know anyone that might be heading towards 40 fast. Someone that is a confidant, someone that you can talk to, you can tell things to. And number one, you feel comfortable telling them those things. And number two, you're confident that they're not going to betray your confidence. Okay. Lindsay, were you going to say something?
Yeah, someone that doesn't judge you, and someone that's genuine as well, like sincere, and they've got the heart in the right place.
I want to get controversial a little bit here. So Lindsay said that a good friend is someone that doesn't judge you. What do you think about that? Yes or no?
If they're a true friend, they'll talk honestly.
So Bev said that they'll tell it to you as it is. Is that correct, Bev? That's what you said?
Yeah.
Okay. Joe, what were you going to say?
You feel comfort. you know you can say it without them taking offense.
I'm not sure if the Zoom picked that up, but I thought that was a very, very good point. So if I can summarize what Karen said, it's that for a good friend, you wouldn't judge them as a person, but you may judge their actions. Is that, did I summarize it well? Ish,
Yeah,
kind of. Yeah, you know, you value them as a person, and your judgment of what they're doing then won't devalue them in your eyes. But you may say, hold on a second, that wasn't right. Joe, will you say something? I'm just going to ask if you can just talk as loudly as you can, because the microphone doesn't pick up so well from so far away. So
No, I think I'd just be honest, and if there was something between two friends and it was like me in the middle last week, it did happen last week, I will turn around and say, like, I think you're going about it the wrong way, and I totally understand why the other person is upset and give rest, but I wouldn't, if it's such a close friend, I just wouldn't
hold back.
I said hold back, because I would want somebody to be that honest with me.
I think that's the purpose that you serve. I'm not trying to come across harshly, but I feel like a
Do
friend.
you mind talking a little bit louder?
A friend.
until the neighbors come out and want to join the class.
One that I think serves a purpose in your life, and what I mean by that is that friend is the one that you go to be cheered up and just be a bit silly, and that friend is the one that you really want a bit of a deep and meaningful with, you know, and that friend is someone that, you know, you don't see very often, but when you see them, it's just, I feel like, and it's not trying to sound cold, but I don't feel like a friend has to tick all the boxes. I know certain people's limits, and like I think someone said on there, for example, they didn't turn up because they're a bit scatty, or they don't read your messages, or they read them and don't respond. I know that that's just them and it's not personal. But I know I can't necessarily rely on them if I need them like that, because they're just not. But that's not me saying they're not nice people. That's just a fact about their personality. So for me, I can't really put a friend into a box. I feel like those are different friends for different things.
So yeah, I want to just comment on something that you said, because I think it's a very, very good point, is that you know, part of this idea of a tripod of objectivity, right, with the three different types of relationship, is that there's no such thing as one person that gets you in your entirety, right? And that's why we have those different types of relationships, right? We have those people above us, and we have the people that are parallel to us, and the people that are below us, because they all bring out a different facet of our personality, and they all facilitate a different type of growth within us, and within each area as well. There's no one person that gets us completely. Like, it's very, very strange, and you know, maybe perhaps a spouse, but even then, I don't think it's a healthy thing in a relationship to rely completely on a spouse for everything, because you need to have other people in your life as well. So absolutely, the point about having different friends for different things is a very good point. So there are actually 4 different purposes of a good friendship, and purposes is the wrong word, because it sounds very
Official.
If it sounds very, what's that word when you're like in it for yourself, you're taking selfish. So not the word is wrong, but there's 4 different things, 4 different definitions that a good friend does. Okay, and this comes from Pirkei Avot, from Ethics of the Fathers, and it tells us, which is very, very interesting, because a lot of times I think when you're young, or you know, or when you're just thinking about it superficially, you think of a friend as someone that I have a good time hanging out with, right? And there is certainly an area for that in our life, but we're talking about not just acquaintances, but good friends. So a good friend does 4 things, right? And when we're listening to this, listen to it from the point of view of having good friends and also being a good friend, okay? So the first thing that a good friendship does is it increases success at Torah study. Why? Because in a good friendship, they can discuss things, right? They can question each other, right? It's not just a superficial relationship where someone says something and you're like, I don't actually think that's what it's supposed to be, but I'm too polite to say anything. No, you would question, you would dig deeper, you would say, hold on a second, doesn't it mean X, Y, Z? Obviously, everything is, you know, Judaism is based on good midot, right? On good character traits, and that's a foundation. But within that, you know, there's a way to say, actually, do you think it means this? Do you think it means that? So a good friendship, the first thing that it does, the first benefit that it gives to both people is it increases success at Torah study, right? People get a better understanding of what the Torah means, the wisdom from the Torah, and how to apply that to our lives. The second thing is it increases our mitzvah fulfillment, it increases our good deeds. Why? And I think this is what a number of you were getting at, and this is why I was a little bit controversial when you said that about not criticizing, is because they offer constructive criticism, right? A good friend is going to be able to look you in the eye and say, you know, I think you've taken on too much, right? I think you're letting that slide. I think it's time for you to do X, Y, Z, right? And having a good, you know, we could do that for other people, and having a good friend means being open to listen to that, right? So that when a friend can turn around to us and say that, then it's something that we are open to and listening to, right? That's the second thing. The third thing is again what Joe said earlier, is someone that will give us good advice and is a discreet confidence, right? Someone that we feel that, like, I feel comfortable in this relationship. Is Zoom still working? Internet connection is unstable. Is Zoom still working?
It is for the volume, it's just with the picture. Just you,
Okay,
you
okay,
froze.
great. So it's still working. Sorry about that.
That's
Hi,
okay.
Joshi. So where are we up to? So a good friend is someone that you feel comfortable speaking to, telling, you know, bearing your soul, so to speak, to, right? You're comfortable telling the truth, and you know that they're going to give you good advice, and that they're going to be discreet about it. And the fourth one is that a good friend is someone that we're comfortable being vulnerable with, right? We're comfortable being open with in terms of our thoughts, in terms of our shortcomings. We don't feel like we need to put on show in front of them. Okay, so when you hear these four different definitions of what a good friend is, anyone wants to add anything? Anyone wants to throw anything out, or?
Is respect quite a big thing as well?
So it's interesting. That's a very, very good question. Joe asked, is respect part of it? So there is a Mishnah, right? In Pirkei Avot, in Ethics of the Fathers, that tells us that it says two things. It says a person should make themselves a rabbi, right? That it's so important to have a mentor, that you're supposed to go out and find a mentor and have that person in your life. And the second thing is, it says you should acquire for yourself a friend, which means that even at the cost of something, that a friendship is so important that you have to invest in it, right? And you know, the word seems to have financial implications, and whether it's financial or whether it's time, energy, we all know that a good friendship requires an investment. So it's telling us that it's so important to have friends that we have to invest in them. And then it ends with this, and it says, judge every person favorably. So the question that jumps up is, what's the connection? What's the connection between having a good, finding yourself a rabbi, a mentor, a teacher, having a good friend, and judging people favorably? Any thoughts on that? What would be the connection?
Everyone's connected.
Yes. How is it connected?
They all have their own kind of positive traits and elements, and they can bounce off each other.
So Lindsay, that's a good point. Good. We'll get back to it in a moment. Anyone else wants to share anything else?
Is it trust?
What do you want to elaborate on that a bit, please, Maddie?
Is it all just linked by trust, by what you were saying, or like the traits is like trust?
So they definitely have trust, right? If you think about it, you're not going to have a mentor who you don't trust, right?
Yeah.
You're not going to have a good friend that you don't trust, because you're not going to open up to them, and you're not going to take on what they're saying on board. But what has judging, and there is a link to trust, but what has judging favorably got to do with trust?
Knowledge and thinking out the box.
Something slightly different. Think about it. And I think Karen touched on it earlier when you were talking about judging other people.
Empathy.
It's good. It's good. I stumped you because that means that hopefully you'll walk away with something new from this. Okay, so this is what it is. That relationships are based on judging others favorably. Why? Because let's just say you have, for any relationship, whatever relationship we're in, people mess up, right? People do things, and sometimes it's intentional, and sometimes it's not intentional. But you know, people do mess up, and if we take the mindset of relationships, it's all or nothing, right? You mess up once, and then that's it. The relationship's over. Then our relationship isn't based on that. So what does it mean? It's interesting. It says two things about judging other people favorably. The first thing it says is judge everyone favorably, which means that if your friend does something, and Gemma gave the example before, if your friend doesn't text you back, you could think, oh my gosh, did I do something to offend her? Does she not like me anymore? Am I not important to her? Or you could think that she's just not very good at texting back. Or you could think, hold on a second, maybe she's busy, right? So part, on the simplistic level is give them the benefit of the doubt, right? Think about yourself, how often, and I know we did a couple of sessions in depth. I'm not going to go in depth on it tonight, but think about ourselves. You know, when we mess up, we're we know why, right? We give ourselves the benefit of the doubt and extend that to others as well, because that's going to help our relationships, right? When you give someone the benefit of the doubt, when your friend doesn't text you back, and instead of thinking to yourself, oh my gosh, she just doesn't like me anymore, she's just a horrible friend, you think to yourself, maybe something's going on, maybe she's busy, then you're not going to have that stress in your relationship, right? Because you'll be able to approach it with curiosity and from an open mind. But the second thing is also on a deeper level. It says judge. The word in Hebrew is kol, right? Kol Adam, which literally, if you translate it, means the whole person, right? Which means judge the whole person. There's not a single person in the world that is totally perfect. Sorry, did I burst anyone's bubble? No, right? There's not a single person that is totally good. Really anyone that's totally bad either. So we judge people, judge the whole person. You know, you can have a friend who is kind and caring and a complete scatterbrain, right? And I think it's also what Gemma says, that you know your friends, right? So you know that if you need something, your friends will be there for you. She might not be there on time, right? But she'll be there for you with the best with the best of intentions, right? So there are the two ideas of what the foundation for these types of relationships are, is that we have to give people the benefit of the doubt, right? We have to give them the benefit of the doubt. And the second thing is that we have to judge the whole person. No one's perfect, right? So you can have, you know, you even if you have a friend that messes up, right? Judge the whole relationship, judge the whole person. So I want to end with one question. What happens when you outgrow a friendship, right? And it happens sometimes, you know. I think Gemma said this, you know, you have different friends from different parts of your life. And sometimes it's as simple as, you know, you grow in a certain direction and your friends don't follow. And this comes up so much in people that grow more in Jewishly or more religiously. And it's interesting because I hear it so often, like from people that have become more observant. They're like, my non-Jewish friends, they're absolutely fine with it, but my Jewish friends, no. What happens when you outgrow a relationship? But sometimes it's not a mutual thing where you have a friendship and you feel that the friend is pulling you down.
If it's not
right?
a good relationship, then for the sake of your health,
You have
mental
to.
health, you have to.
And sometimes it's not even just a mental health thing. It's sometimes it's in the interest of our growth and our movement forwards. We have to accept, as Gemma said, we have to accept, and it could be very, very painful that we have outgrown this relationship. And sometimes, you know, you can walk away if it's a friend. Sometimes you can't, right? If it's a sibling or a family member or something like that, you can't just walk away. It can be a very, very painful thing to recognize. Again, it goes back to what Gemma was saying, is that you could feel bad because you might be hurting their feelings, is that, again, Judaism is based on good character traits and kindness and care for the other, and you have to do it in as kind a way as possible. right? So sometimes you owe them gratitude, or you owe them things, and you've got to give them to that. But you have to also, and perhaps it's a situation where you have to accept the loss of sort of the dream of the relationship. They may not realize that they're pulling you down, right? You think about relationships where like you have someone in your life and like they're constantly pulling you down, or every time you be with them or you have a conversation with them, it takes you time to sort of get back to where you were. Then they may not realize that, right? So it could be depending on who the relationship is, it could be a very painful thing, but it's something that it's I think when we go back to it and when we sort of define a good friendship by fulfilling one of those four ideas, that they either increase our success at understanding Torah wisdom, they increase our mitzvah, they make us better people, our mitzvah observance, they give us good advice, and they're people that we are comfortable being vulnerable with. And then if they're not one of those, then we have to reassess the relationship. So that brings us to a little bit of a discussion of the idea of the second tripod of objectivity, the second sort of leg of this tripod of objectivity in our life, and the role that friends take in our life, and how we can be the type of friends that help our friends grow, and how we can have the type of friends that help us grow and become better people. Thank you for taking the time to listen. I'd love to hear your thoughts and your feedback. You can find me on Instagram at Gila Ross. Please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast. Thank you once again, and have a wonderful day.